One of the biggest offseason storylines of the year have been the distribution of minutes, inclusion, and exclusion from the USA's men's senior national team. And at the heart of that controversy are the Boston Celtics, whether it be Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derrick White, or Jrue Holiday. Some have been perplexed by the idea that Derrick White could be chosen over the likes of Jaylen Brown, or even receiving minutes when somebody like Jason Tatum could not. But it comes down to a big misunderstanding of Derrick White's talents, not only as a spot-up shooter and closeout attacker and defender, but what he can do with the ball in his hands. And despite the fact that he plays a role for the Celtics, Derrick White is not a role player. And one of the best ways that we can illustrate that is through his driving and the many micro skills that he utilizes to consistently get downhill. You'll see it on the possession like here, where Derrick White receives a ball screen from Jason Tatum as the Celtics set up a 2-4 pick and roll with 5-out spacing. Derrick White does a really good job showcasing the first of his many micro skills as a driver, which is his off-arm usage. Once he receives the screen, Derrick White does a really good job log jamming his elbow into Josh Giddey's torso to create further separation once the pre-advantage is created with the screen. From there, he keeps Giddey on his hip and is able to showcase his next biggest strength as a driver, which is his patience. He slows down to survey the floor. He notices Chet Holmgren in the gap, so he decides to tuck gather through the dig before quickly exploding through the space, 2 quick gallops, and then a jump off of 1 foot. He then showcases excellent body control and even better hand-eye coordination, finishing 1v1 against a wing as he switches hands mid-air and utilizes a soft floater with the left. White's patience overall allows him to be very effective in ball screen actions and amplifies his ability to drive. We'll see it on a possession like here where the Celtics set up a high ball screen with another player back screening behind said screen on the roll, or colloquially known as Spain pick and roll. White initially surveys, explodes into the gap once he notices the advantage, 1 medium stride, 1 shorter stride once he sees that there's either a potential driving lane or a passing option that he opts out of, but then quickly varies his strides with a very long gallop into his penultimate step before he jumps. White then realizes that Jalen Duren has a relatively clean angle towards the contest and contorts his body closer to the rim for a soft finish off the glass with both hands. A possession like this showcases White's quick twitch athleticism and his elastic kinematic movements, but also showcases his feel for the game and general ability to control his body and understand space and where to control the body towards. In essence, the play is a perfect example of White's combination of non-traditional athleticism and proprioception that make him such a threat downhill. In transition, these traits are just amplified. White does a really good job attacking big chunks of space with his athleticism that is quietly overwhelming. You'll see it on a possession like here against a backpedaling Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler who's out of place. White does a really good job selling a pull-up with a patent foot drag into a hop with the hang dribble before quickly opening up his hips with a long, elastic, explosive first step, cleanly blowing by Lauri. White does a really good job leveraging his next 2 steps towards the rim to create a cleaner avenue with a inside leverage stride, and then switches hands with the inside leverage scoop layup with his offhand. And he has pretty excellent control of it. You'll see it on a possession like here where Kristaps gives White a non-screen. Basically, Fox easily navigates it and decides to play aggressively into White's frame. We've talked about his off-arm usage and his strength, but one thing that makes that strength more functional is the ability to dribble through the upper body contact, which White effectively does. White then creates good enough leverage to dictate where he wants Fox's momentum to go. And that leverage and momentum come into place as he decels off a wonky shin angle with the behind the back into a half spin, blowing by De'Aaron easily. And then we see 2 long strides into a tuck with the gather. And then he hops towards the front of the rim to create an even easier finishing angle and a foul that he didn't draw. White even has the ability to manipulate the defense with the cadence of his dribble. You'll see it on a possession like here against Defensive Player of the Year caliber big Anthony Davis, where in a 2v1 situation, White does a particularly good job manipulating AD with rhythm dribbles. This hit-ahead pass mimics what could be a bounce pass to Kristaps, which forces AD to twist his hips towards Kristaps and gives White an even cleaner avenue towards the rim. But White doesn't stop there and just explode towards the rim, because possibly Jared Vanderbilt's help defense could close up that avenue. So what does White do? He eyes down Kristaps, utilizes his off arm to mimic the action that he would make for another bounce pass to Kristaps, and then two-handed pound dribbles into the gather, lowers his shoulder into AD to create the finishing angle, and somehow slithers past the combined length of Jared Vanderbilt and Anthony Davis for the layup off the glass. It shouldn't look this easy against these defenders, but Derrick White consistently simplifies problem solving. Even though he's not discussed as such, some of the strengths that we've discussed make me pretty confident Derrick White can be called, honestly, a near elite NBA athlete, especially relative to guards. And that elite athleticism and driving helps him on a possession like here. In crucial moments like this one possession game against the Toronto Raptors with 1 minute and 8 seconds, where he receives a guard-to-guard screen from Jaylen Brown to create a pre-advantage, and utilizes all of the strengths on the drives that we talked about. Utilizes off-arm to remove the off-arm of Jaylen from affecting him, lowers his shoulder, forcing Jaylen to stumble and play in chase mode, is able to out-leverage Jaylen and dictate his momentum before decelling on his penultimate step, hopping through multiple defenders, somehow avoiding both of their feet to create a platform to jump, and finishing through both of them with the offhand with excellent touch. That play is a big part of the Derrick White experience on a night-to-night basis, and that is not the experience of an NBA role player at all. That's the video. Thank you for watching. I know that I haven't been creating content on a consistent basis the last 9 months, and that's something that I'm trying to get back into the groove of doing. But any support, and I mean any support, is greatly appreciated.